All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Point episode 8 of the Point Gremlin podcast. I am Alex, otherwise known as Delirium. Joined with me today is James, otherwise known as Jonas the Red, and special guest today is Jake, otherwise known as Quix. All right, today we are going to go over. We took a trip recently, me and Quix and a group of others, to O'Fallon down in Missouri. So we're going to be talking a lot about their field today and how they conduct things differently than we do down there. Starting things off, I think we'll just go right in from walking into the door. So walking into the door down at O'Fallon, the first thing to say about their building, I guess, would be that they have the warehouse that they're located in is huge. Their field itself is actually very small, but the warehouse that they are built in is very, very large. They're a very big facility, and partly that's because they do other things there. They're not just laser tags. So they had like go-karts, axe throwing, some other just like side attraction stuff. A lot of things to do in their lobby. But walking into the lobby, you're faced with the kiosks immediately. And there's kind of no like front desk attendant. There's a guy behind the bar counter who helped us out. But I don't know, it felt kind of weird walking in there, and there was just no one to really greet us at the door. When we swiped in, everything like that, we gave us our codes and stuff. So we all got into, how many sessions did we play, Jake?
We played 7 sessions.
We played 7 sessions. Okay. Yeah, so he gave us the codes for all the first day, and we just swiped in for all of that.
Yeah, he actually gave us all of the codes at once. We paid for all seven, and then we were given all seven codes the day of. We played five on Saturday and then two on Sunday.
Right. Yep. I think it's a few cool things to point out about their lobby. So they didn't have like a viewing balcony or anything, so you can't watch anyone who's playing the game. But on the wall, like in their lobby area, so where everyone's sitting down next to the bar, they have a projector that streams. I think I counted 18 cameras that are out in the field. That's just projected on the wall.
Yeah, they had a lot of cameras showing the field. I think that's one thing that we could really um, improve on our field is the cameras. We have um, not a lot of cameras.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's something I would really like. I don't know how I felt about the just like projecting them on the wall, especially because they were pretty small, so I couldn't hear.
They were also very dim because of how light it was in there.
Yeah, I couldn't see a whole lot, and it was kind of tough to actually pick out what was going on. But the amount of cameras they had was really cool. I would really enjoy something like that on our field as well.
We used to have cameras on in our lobby. We had just one where the it was like a big vertical screen that the scoreboard is, but it would just be a little bit to the left where the big iCombat sign is now. We'd have this one monitor, and it would just kind of point down Mansion, or it's right where the embassy is, our north embassy is now. It looked down street. More of that is appreciated. We obviously have the ones that are on top of the the observation deck. I'm sure you guys mentioned.
Right. The I don't know. It's kind of tough because I don't really like the whole like just look at a bunch of different views on the camera because you can't see what's going on, but having more views and stuff like that, or more angles to view from cameras on our field, I think would be a really good idea. I just wish we could get kind of better action shots without it, like people running out of the camera frame like way too quickly and stuff like that. Because that's the other thing about their cameras is they don't cover a large area. They kind of are single room cameras, so you don't get a lot of the action on them.
Yeah, they're very, very small cameras. It's not like ours, which faces a big area of the map. They're kind of everywhere, and it's really hard to tell where they are on the field, even if you know the field. It's kind of hard to see on the cameras where they are specifically on the field.
Do
at
they
the field.
highlight specific areas that are on the field that is kind of pointed randomly throughout the map?
I couldn't
It's
really
kind of pointed
tell.
randomly.
Yeah, besides like the spawns and like maybe like the staircases, the rest of them are kind of just randomly pointed around. They cover pretty much the majority of the field, but they are pretty sporadic as to where they are. And unfortunately, when I was looking at it on the projector, they don't like blend together very well, so you don't get like a big view of the field. You get like a pan view here, and like someone from the top left camera could run and then suddenly be on like the bottom right. So it's kind of hard to
Oh
keep
yeah.
track of all that.
In the perfect world, I'd like to see cameras that just pointed at both of our spawns, so you can kind of see, because you can always hear when the game starts. And from our lobby, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. If you're paying attention to the metaphorical cameras that we might have in the lobby, we could have people on screen always, kind of spilling out of the spawns, maybe down the mansion side always, something like that. But it's just a lot of cameras that I'd like to kind of like show about the stuff from. What it really wants to do, it sounds like, is since that place has multiple games you can play, having those cameras in their lobby or just around kind of advertises just that, because it might be kind of scary for someone to walk in and they're expecting to play like axe throwing or something, but they don't really not sure about the laser tag thing and they see it on the wall, like, okay, maybe that's not that terrible, maybe I'll try that too while I'm here.
Yeah, and I think it's actually like tenfold on their field, because their field is very intimidating. Because looking at that field, it is a cluster of objects. There is stuff scattered around. There's bushes. There's plenty of boxes. Rooms are very small and tight. The upstairs, like the staircases, are super narrow, so you can't really go up two people at a time. So looking at that field, you don't really know where to go from when you start. You could go anywhere. You could walk in the middle, which is just no man's land. It's tough to figure out that field.
Are you just kind of normally glued to the sides of the map and you're kind of is it like you've mentioned this before, like the idea of a 3-lane map? Does that match the same pattern?
His idea of this map, I'm talking as Dan, the manager, his idea was to take a different aspect or a different perspective towards it. He didn't want a 3-lane map. He wanted it to kind of go around the outside and then in the middle have a no man's land. So he kind of went with exactly what he achieved, as in you don't really want to be in no man's land. You want to be playing on the entire outer shell of the map. So it's very different playing compared to our field where it's 3 lanes. And Alex was saying that most other fields that he's seen as well have been 3 lanes. So it was pretty interesting seeing a different perspective on it.
I wonder why you'd want to have a no man's land for the field. Did he mention why he wanted that? Madison used to have that, and they got rid of it pretty quickly.
So, in contrast with the way that Michigan holds their no man's land, which I actually really like how they do it, because Michigan, their no man's land is kind of, you walk out there and there's nothing out there. You can see that space from spawn. You're gonna get shot immediately, but that's what they have all their objectives. So that's like where the recon tube is to grab a flag. That's where the jailbreak escape is. That's where the bell is. That's like, if you want to hit the objective, you gotta try and last in no man's land as long as you can. In Missouri, however, no man's land was kind of pointless. I found myself in there a couple times, just like hiding behind a box and trying to move a little bit closer to my opponent's spawn. But they never had any like objectives in there or anything like that. It was always very, it was very dead in there. I don't know why you would go in there.
UBO was probably the only one that took advantage of no man's land.
Yeah, the body was on the opposite end of no man's land in the enemy team spawn. But even then, the easiest way to get the body was to loop around, get it from the side, and then probably walk back through no man's land.
Just get out there for a second. Well, yeah, it sounds like about how you'd want to do it. We have nothing like that there. For I haven't never played on Shantytown, but Port Chicago didn't have anything like that either. There might have been just like some little rooms that are inside like the walls of the prison, but I think you could generally play in and around those rooms, ducking between those lower little dividers or squeezing between different cells of the area. But there wasn't really a whole lot of it. Huh. It's cool. I guess we got a cool idea of having one field that plays so differently than the rest of them. Then you guys said it played slower, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say it plays slower. And the big reason that it is slower is because they have the no running rule. So not only do they not allow running, I wouldn't want to run on that field if I was allowed to. Everything is so close quarters. Corners are so abrupt and doorways are so tight that if you're running on that field, you're going to hit something or someone else. It's inevitable. So moving around that field was reasonably slow.
Is it just a splash zone around every corner? You know what I mean? Does it sound like does that sound right?
It was at one point. However, they have turf and fake grass stapled to the sides of the walls, so you can't bounce off them.
Oh, that's smart.
There's still a few locations that you can do it. Like I was doing it on like some staircase railings, and there's some gaps in between some of them that you can hit it. But the spaces are kind of fewer and far between, and the turf works pretty well.
Our stuff it's like this 80 grit light sandpaper, pretty much every darn surface you can bounce off of. There are some walls that are much more extreme than others, like the Black Hawk Down corner, or like the railings of staircases, or even the lights now people are starting to do it off of. Some fields like doing it, some people lean into it, some fields try to avoid it, like the Plague, which sounds like this one's trying to do.
Yeah, Dan, me and Jake talked to Dan a little bit about how he wanted to design that field. And there's a few things he said to us, especially one about bouncing, is he wanted it all to be kind of realistic as much as he could do with the equipment. So he tried to prevent the whole splashing as much as he can. The goal was so that you could move around the fields kind of more tactically, which I found myself doing a lot. So I would always be following kind of slowly behind someone else, and just one person watching behind, one person watching ahead. There was a lot of teamwork that felt really cool on that field.
Sounds like the field made it easier for you guys to work together then, if it's smaller and there's more communication. How, maybe it's not the most related, but how was there music playing, sound effects? How loud was it?
There was music. I wouldn't say it was very loud. It was a lot of the same music, to be honest with you. They controlled it off of their tablet, which was basically a computer. It's pretty much the same thing as us. There was music, but it wasn't very loud.
Okay, so sometimes I feel like when we're playing on our field, we have our music just a bit too loud that it's so hard to communicate with even the person that's just darn next to you, which may be realistic. I've never actually been in a war scenario before, but this is laser tag, and I want to see some communication. Maybe sometimes like the loudness of the sound makes it harder to communicate. This field sounds like it's all teamwork.
To be honest with you, I'd say the way they run ice down there is kind of lazy. Not lazy is kind of the wrong word, but it's very limited because they have it set up on that one tablet. So they have one team leader on the field who is running ice as well. So he sits in his own little alcove where he's got like a bunch of gun parts and stuff like that. So if you have a gun problem, you go to him. And at the beginning of the session, he brings everybody around him in that big no man's land area. And he like briefs how to use the equipment, and then sends you to your sides for first team deathmatch. So everybody starts dead, so it's not like he sends you away and you can just like start wherever you want. Everybody starts dead, so then you have to respawn over on your side immediately before the game starts, or as the game starts, I guess. And then he's running all the game modes and the light shows from his tablet, as well as the music.
He's not walking around the field at all. He's just kind of like in his little hut, waiting for problems to come to him.
Yeah, he's just staying right where he is.
He's never... What about body on the move? How about the body get moved around? How would he tell?
They don't call out body on the move or anything like that. They don't tell you when objectives are popping up like Whack-A-Mole. We didn't get to play Whack-A-Mole, but I don't even know if they announce which tube is active. I think you might just have to find it.
Guess. Well, you don't have to. Well, it depends on the size of the session. If you have a lot of people in the session, you can generally cover all tubes and have at least one person know the status of it, whether it's on or not. But if it's like a 2-on-2, you gotta hunt and find every single time.
I think one of the other interesting things that about their field is they have the M4s, so the guns don't have speakers in them. So they don't have the gun talking to you when you get a kill streak or stuff like that. But they do it over ice, or at least it appears to do it over ice. So you'll hear over ice every once in a while over the speakers. It'll say killing spree, monster kill, godlike, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure that it's just a soundtrack, and that there's no meaning behind it when it says those killing streaks. I think it's just randomly saying that. I don't think anyone's actually getting a killing streak.
That's funny. There's a godlike in every single session. It's a 2v2. How do you pull it off?
Well, godlike isn't the same. It's 15 on their field. It's not 30 or 25.
That's one thing.
It might be. I don't know. When I was talking to Dan, he was saying he doesn't know what they are.
Brady had said that 15 was godlike. He knew that for sure, but he didn't know the rest, from what I remember. I'm not sure. I know all the employees were new, so they didn't really know much, but I asked them and they had no idea what the kill streaks were. So
they're in that phase right now where they don't have a whole lot of. They must have a high turnover. At least
they have
right
a really
now.
high turnover.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
The reason I think that it's a soundtrack is because they don't run everything off Mosaic, and they don't have the licensing for ice, so they don't have access to the light shows that we do, which means that ice isn't communicating to their speakers the same way ours are, and there's no way to set up ice to communicate those killing sprees and stuff like that. I'm pretty certain it's just a sound file that plays over it.
It'd be funny if it is. Maybe someday we'll actually find out the mystery of the random sound effects that are there. I want to talk more about these M4s though. How much damage do they do per shot? Was it 2 still?
50. Yeah. So two shots to kill.
2 shots to kill. And that was how it was in the back in our day. Did you guys just switch over to semi-automatic the whole time, or were you guys still playing on burst?
No, most of the regulars played auto, so we kind of followed along suit. It was actually pretty hard to play semi-auto with the blind firing rule, so you can just come around spraying and it doesn't really matter. So
spray around any corner. I'm sure some of you guys were there for it. Back in the day, it was just it was like if you were a regular, you play it on semi-automatic. If you were playing on burst, you would get ridiculed for it. Like, dude, this is just playing on burst. I'm not sure why. It's just a straight up advantage if you're playing on burst. There's one thing because it tracks your stats, right? So all the old regulars, if they haven't played recently, their accuracy is still like generally in the high 30s or 40s if you're some people. Now, I don't know why they wouldn't just like play the better thing. Right now, we've been kind of developing the meta to try and just beat other people instead of working on your stats. And that's what kind of it switched around to. Everyone now plays on auto. So now you guys are playing on auto there, which I'm glad. They're not stuck in these like old Stoneworks ways.
I was spraying around corners. There's so many like little walls that you can just scrunch up behind that you have to shoot around every single corner. Otherwise, there's just gonna be some kid sitting behind a wall just waiting for you to walk past, and he's gonna get you no matter what, unless you're spraying around that corner. Which I would sit behind those walls all the time.
It's kind of how they all played. They played sitting around walls or finding good spots to just keep you away from where they were. Getting up top on that map was pretty crucial. Once you had up top, you had it. Because there was always this little spot on both staircases where you could kill them before they even saw you. So once you had up top, you kind of had up top.
Yeah, and
we sort of have that, but what happens is people don't, like, if they forget to pay attention to the stairs or something, or there's a really long shot angle you can kind of get people away from. Well, if I'm thinking of, if you climb the upstairs on top of Marketplace and you're on Embassy side, you can just hold that if you just bounce off the railing all day. Maybe you guys aren't seeing something from not playing there for long enough.
Their upstairs is very different from the way ours is. Upstairs on our field is the central area. So if you're in the middle, you can go upstairs. It's the opposite on their field. The upstairs is a big circle around the map with a bridge in the middle of it. So you are looking down into the middle instead of being on the middle looking to the sides. So that's why no man's land is because you're just gonna get drilled from somebody upstairs that you can't even see.
Oh, I see. That's cool.
And the upper levels are very closed off, so they're not just some big open area. It's a lot of rooms. It's basically just an entire second floor.
How are the game modes there? They all played similar to our field. Any big changes that you like have a new favorite O'Fallon favorite game mode to play down there?
Played a lot of the similar game modes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We didn't play. I mean, we played espionage once. We didn't play whack-a-mole at all. We played UBL once. We were playing pretty much sniper, domination, team deathmatch, and I can't even think of another one.
Yeah, we never played
Yeah.
SWAT. We never played Black Hawk Down. We never played Whack-A-Mole, Rush, Borg.
We did play Juggernaut.
We did play Juggernaut.
Juggernaut was interesting. They had two Juggernauts. One was upstairs, one was downstairs, and they were restricted to half of the map. So once the bridge hit, they could be on their side of the map. And that's the same for their entire team. Their entire team had to be on that side of the map. If they change or if they switched over to the other side of the map, they get disqualified. But the other team can go wherever they want.
Right.
Okay.
I don't.
How many sessions did you guys play total?
We
7.
7. Yeah.
And you guys just got like the iCombat basic package, like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
How many like?
They don't really change it. Even their regulars admitted because of their new employees, they don't really know all the games. So they kind of stick to the same game modes.
Yeah,
It's so sad.
They let us play Medic once, which was cool.
They did.
And
But they didn't even know how to run it.
True.
Good thing we did.
Yeah, they have some twists on some of the games, like Domination. A real simple one is their downstairs tubes. So there's one tube upstairs on the bridge and 2 tubes downstairs. The downstairs tubes hang from the ceiling, which is something, I guess. So you shoot up into them instead of down. UBL, the big difference from UBL is you were able to drag the body back. If you're the defending team, you could bring it back to the starting area.
Oh. Chaos.
It was chaos.
Yeah.
The way they play espionage is how we play infiltration.
Yep.
You guys said it was backwards. That's funny. Why wouldn't they just? Well, then they could have 2 game modes. But like you said, their staff is rather new, and they're learning their game modes slowly. They could probably just make another game mode because espionage still is a pretty good game, be it fast. Maybe it just plays differently on their field or is better on their field than it is on ours.
A lot of the games I felt were either just really similar or I didn't really care for the twists. I didn't really like the 2 Juggernauts in Juggernaut. It was really hard to kill both Juggernauts, especially because they can be anywhere behind halfway point, which includes basically right next to their spawn.
Can we do 2 Juggernauts? Just put 2 people in that role and done deal.
We could. We have the capabilities of doing it. I would probably warn us against it.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I think Juggernaut wins just every time. I think it's too hard to kill both Juggernauts.
Does it win every time on their field?
Pretty much. We lost once.
Yeah.
And that was to their regulars, I believe.
Oh. When you guys, like your first day there, I was hearing that you guys are doing incredibly well against, I don't know, just the regulars. Did they split you guys up the first day? How'd that go?
Oh, yeah. We were split up most of the time. We had the vast majority of the people in the sessions. I think the most we played with their regulars was having 4 or 5 of them in a session. Most of the sessions only had 1 of them.
Until Sunday. Sunday hit, and then they brought a bunch of their regulars, and we did a Waukesha versus Missouri session at the noon on Sunday.
I hope you guys lost.
We did not.
We did not. No.
What?
We actually, I think
You won in their own
I think
field.
it was a tie.
I think it was a tie. They won the objectives, and we won. We won one. Yeah, no. We won the first team, or we lost the first team deathmatch, won the second one. Lost the first domination, won the second one, and then won 2 snipers.
We did win both.
Hopefully they're not stuck.
We won both of their snipers.
Hopefully they're not stuck in their super tactical meta ways. if they stick to trying to emulate what they think laser tag should be, then they're not going to get any better to what laser tag actually is. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think they play very similar to how we do. I think they're very solo. They don't work together very well. They are pretty kill hungry. I think they're
That's
playing
for sure.
very similar to the Waukesha regulars.
Okay, cool. I've only met one of them. Only have met Be Ready. That's it. Everyone else. How are the regulars generally? I mean,
They're
obviously
very
you're going to say they're all cool. They're cool people.
yeah, exactly. They're very cool people. One person to point out is Agent Wax. Really nice dude. Plays really well. Knows the field. Also, obviously a solo player. He kind of reminds me of Doki's playstyle. We were kind of pointing that out.
Just your field Stokey.
Yeah, literally.
I think another one of their players to point out was Philip. Really, he was an interesting guy. He's pretty full of himself, but I guess he's got the reason. He's really good, so he's got a reason to. Only plays with the pistol because he says he handicaps himself with it. I don't know whether or not that's true. I don't know, but he only plays with the pistol. And he actually runs their leagues down there. So he has this thing that they put together called Legendary Nights, where Philip kind of gets together all of the regulars and just brings them in one night to do kind of like hyper competitive sessions. And he was saying the reason he likes to do that is because he doesn't really believe in the skill rating system. He was telling me.
True.
So he tries to make one himself by ranking all of his players based off these legendary nights. Which I thought
How would they go about that? How would they rank them off the legendary knights?
He was doing it just based off performance. I don't really know what his criteria was. I showed him mine because I showed him the player ranking sheets I have, but he didn't show me any of the stuff that he has. He's supposed to send it to me, but he has not yet.
Yeah. Maybe he'll see this and then remind himself, and get a DM suddenly out of nowhere.
Yeah,
That's cool. Okay. As for anything else about M4 related to game mode stuff?
I hate M4s.
You hate M4s.
I
Why is that?
disagree. I like M4s.
I wish they would tell me how much ammo I had.
True.
That sucked.
You have 250 rounds in your magazine. Do you need to know how much?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when I'm like all the way in front of the enemy team's base and then I run out of ammo, what am I supposed to do?
Your best way of finding out is listening to your gun and hoping that it sputters.
Yeah,
You're about to run out of CO2 a little bit, make a different sound.
Yep.
Oh, and I'm lowish.
They-
That's not even the most accurate. It just depends on the magazine you have inside your gun, or even the nozzle on the inside of the M4. It just gave a different amount of CO2 left.
They did have this awesome mag dispensing machine.
That thing was so cool.
Yeah, so once your mag is out, they've got this big box that you put the mag into this hole, and it detects the mag going down and dropping into it, and then it's got this big tower that will dispense a new mag for you. So you put the mag in and it'll go crunchunk, and a new mag will pop out, and you put that in.
Satisfying. Would it ever not detect you putting a magazine into the empty side and just not give you a mag out?
I never had.
No, I never had that issue.
Wow. Good job, Dan. Reliable. You hadn't mentioned it was metal on metal. He had the option of giving it metal on rubber or something, so it wouldn't be as, I don't know, wouldn't be as satisfying, but he wanted a satisfying sound of metal on metal, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
This is funny. This is funny.
Yeah, the guy that runs it down there, Dan, is a really interesting guy. He builds like everything down there. He's super
Very creative guy.
Yeah. So he was touring me, Jake, and Tom around. So we got to see for zombies, he builds animatronic zombies to put on the field. So we got to see all of his warehouse of animatronics.
Now that I want you to go into more detail of. What do you mean by animatronic zombies? How animatronic are they? What do they look like? Can you go into more detail?
They looked like just they were mannequins that he just suited up with a bunch of electrical equipment, and they were supposed to like chase after people. So they were like on X's or systems that when you would run away from it, the zombie would like detect that, and they would chase after you and like get faster and stuff like that. And they were just supposed to growl. They were doing pretty simple motions and stuff like that, but they were really cool to see. We didn't get to actually see any of them in action just off of what he was saying they would do, but
It sounds very ambitious. When you first described it to me, I was like, what? It's like a little Roomba? Are you sticking a little headband, zombie headband emitter on top of some Roomba that's rolling around the field and it goes, bah, and it gets you or something? But no, this sounds like it's something out of, what's that freaking game that all the kids love? Friday Frankie Fricker horror show.
okay.
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah,
They're-
13th.
Sounds like how many of them were there? Just one or two?
we saw I think like 5.
There's like 5 of them, yeah.
What the heck? I mean, your field doesn't even have the size to do it.
I know.
And he's building an outdoor field as well. So he's working on a field outdoors, which is supposed to be. He was saying he didn't want it to be kind of similar to all the other ones, where it's just kind of like a bunch of wooded structures and stuff like that. He wants it to be like a canyon, so more of like realistic, cave-like structuring, stuff like that.
Oh, sick.
Which would be really cool. And he was showing us how he's making rocks. And he's building a tank.
Making rocks. If he pulls off the canyon field, that would be the most unique field out of any of them. Everything, if you think about it, is just like a modern, urban, or like military base type feel. And then there's Chicago. Even Chicago has Shantytown, which is just like a little urban, modern little like Chicago feel to it. That would be so cool. There's some other fields that I also want to check out too.
We were very happy with going down there. It was super fun, especially going with a big group that we went with. So we had 8 people, and we got to mess around with some of the different rules that they had that we didn't. So like dead talking was one of the big ones, is that they allow dead talking down there. So we were just screaming at each other after we would kill someone or something like that. If you were dead, you just scream at where the other person is. Blind firing was the other one, so you were allowed to just not like whip the gun around a corner, because I talked to Dan about it. He actually was encouraging blind firing because he was saying that it's a kind of a realistic thing that you can do. If you have a gun, you can blind fire with it.
It just is.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I mean, I don't think any of the regulars are gonna like it. It's just such a part of our Waukesha culture to hate blind firing at this point. But any game, there's mechanics for blind firing and Escape from Tarkov. There's mechanics for blind firing in Squad, and a lot of shooters modern now. You could just stick your gun around corners and just like blast down it. It's not the most accurate thing, obviously, but you can set it up pretty accurately. It's just what you can do. But the downside is, right, there's no sensor on the M4. You can't shoot the gun to take them out. And you could do that in real life. You could disable the gun by blasting it.
I think the only problem I have with blind firing on our field is because you're not supposed to do it. On their field, it's okay. I have no problems with it because everybody is on the same playing field. Everybody's allowed to do it. Everyone's allowed to blind fire. Everyone's allowed to dead talk. So since everyone can do it, it's not a problem if someone does it.
Right. Why wouldn't we just be able to transfer that over to ours? If everyone's on the same page one night, we could just try it one night. Hey, everyone, for this one session, you're allowed to blind fire and dead talk. Let's see the chaos, how it'd be on this field. Someone would be furious, I imagine.
It kind of builds a structure where you don't stay alive very long. Their kill streaks are very short on their field, partly because their field is so small, partly because you're allowed to blind fire and dead talk. So it's hard to stay alive when everyone knows your location because the guy's dead talking where you are, and they can just blind fire at you afterwards. But like I said, if everyone's on the same page, if that's how the field runs, then sure, I have no problem with it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, they had that culture built up for so long. I don't know how long they've been open for, but I imagine from day one, they probably had those rules in place, or maybe around there, where it's been long enough that it's just accepted. Look, it's even my own culture speaking, where there's a universe where it shouldn't be allowed, That's so weird to me that blind firing and dead talking is just totally fine there. Well, I think you said it was not just totally fine, right? The regulars don't do it too much, right?
The regulars were actually kind of picky on certain rules, so they dead talked plenty. They were doing plenty of dead talking. I don't think they would get too mad about the dead talking. I heard a few offhand comments about the whole blind firing thing, but they don't really care because they do it too. But they were kind of picky about running and stuff like that. So if we were moving too fast, they would let us know that we were moving too fast, which is fine. They were definitely hypocrites about it sometimes, but whatever. The other thing is like, I remember I shot through a barricade at one point. There was like a big like half-inch wide slit in a barricade that I could easily see and shoot through. And I killed Be Ready across the map, and I heard him yell from across the field, "You can't do that!"
He's coming. He's gonna get you.
Yeah, I got a talk.
I think you did it twice, didn't you?
I did it twice to him.
Yeah, you killed him twice in a row with the same thing.
He came right back.
There are some little angles on our field that you can do it. I think there's a hole in the China wall you can just kind of stick your gun through. There's now this new quirky angle that's right out front of the breach side where just all the planks in the wall are just a little bit like a jar, so you can kind of stick your gun around that. I don't know how much we police that or we care for that. Is it technically blind firing? Is it not?
I like that. I like it a lot.
I like it.
Too.
Little death holes you can shoot through. Just know where they are and you can learn it.
It's such a very tight angle, so you can't like scan an angle through that. You have one shot that you can shoot through.
Yeah, one little quirky angle. Maybe this like maybe a 30 degrees of variation, but conveniently those angles are just in the area where you could see Nate and kill him. So they could stay just where they are.
Yeah, besides that, I think going back to the way they ran ice was kind of interesting. So their light shows, they don't run off Mosaic, they make them themselves. And that included, like, we played one session where they started using the fog machine, which I'm going to speak for myself here. Jake, you can probably agree with me or not, but when they had the fog machine going and it's coming from the ceiling, it is way harder to see what is going on. Especially
it's already hard enough with how dark it is on the field, and adding smoke to it was tough, to say the least. It's very hard to get to see anyone up top, or even if you're down below, to see anybody from up there. I can completely agree with you. It made it a very tough playing field with all the smoke, which I think it was pretty cool adding the smoke, but it made it harder.
Certainly, there's a control switch on how much fog you can pump through it. There's got to be a sweet spot somewhere.
There was a lot of smoke.
Yeah, I'm sure you could police it pretty well, but the guys running ice are like
you could
high
feel
schoolers.
You could feel the smoke in your sweat.
So they're just gonna pump that stuff.
Yeah. Oh boy, smoke machine go burr, and they just unload all of it.
They only did it for one session too.
Yeah. They also don't have a radio or not a radio or a microphone or anything that they talk over ice with. They have this soundboard that's got like 12 buttons or so on it that they click, and it's like one of the buttons is gather back to the middle, game over, switch sides, this red team wins, black team wins.
It's like a yes or a no, or just yes of memory terms. You're not going to try have any soundboard option that can talk to an individual.
No, it was just for corralling everybody on the field and moving them around easier, because it's only one team leader, and one team leader can only gather everybody so easily. Max
size is 10 on 10, right?
11 on 11, yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, ours is 30, and we do 32, right?
Right.
Yeah, with that many people, and I've done it though. I've team led one person with 15 people. It's definitely hard. If they can set up the infrastructure with 3 buttons to go for it, heck yeah.
It would just waste too much time if you can't speak over the mic, and you'd have to be running back and forth so much. It just would waste so much time without that soundboard. It worked fine. We never saw any problems with it or anything. It's kind of, I guess, boring in a sense when you can't hear like MVPs, you can't hear like objectives on the move and stuff like that. I don't know.
You know, ice is huge for us on our side. One question for you is that were a lot of your sessions just filled with people that have played before and have a good understanding of the game, or how many new players are in it? Like, I imagine of a session of a bunch of new players in it, that's his soundboard of his wouldn't be as effective because they wouldn't be able to like understand what's going on a whole lot.
The first day we played, majority of the sessions were our group, maybe one Michigan regular, and then a bunch of new players.
How many's a bunch?
Regular, not Michigan.
Yeah, O'Fallon regulars.
Okay. I think we have these sessions, right, where it's 15 new players sometimes. And corralling them is super difficult with just 2 team leaders. I can only imagine if they have just a session of just like a bunch of new players on it, if they're just using just the soundboard, they're not going to get them to understand what's going on too much. As I know how smart or how lack of smart their new players some people are. So I'm just picturing what it would be like.
Well, I mean, the way they used it was it would say return to the middle after the game is over, and then everyone would walk back to the middle of the field. We never had a problem with people not doing that. And
How
then
clearly?
it was pretty clear. It was
Okay.
we never had a problem with that. And then the team leader from there would explain the game and stuff like that. So they're still explaining the game without the soundboard, but they would just use it to move the people around on the field and tell them where to go.
Does the team leader have like a different rhythm when explaining the game modes? Do we have like our own rhythm or our own cadence that we use to explain games, or how is it similar enough?
It was pretty similar. The problem is their field is so clustered that it was really hard for them to say very clearly where objectives are. So even worse than our field, they can't just name a location. They have to, without walking everyone over there and showing them directly, explain where the objectives are the best they can, which they didn't do a very good job of. A lot of times the new players would not know where the domination tubes and stuff like that were. I didn't know where the domination tubes were the first time I played domination. I had to find them eventually.
Oh, there's one. You're on there hunting for it like you're playing some other game.
Literally, it was like kill until you find a domination tube. It felt like a team deathmatch for the first couple sessions that we played domination because I didn't know where the tubes were. I knew the one on the bridge, and that's about it.
Yeah, I found bridge, and then eventually I found the ones hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Wow, they're from the ceiling. Yeah, you did mention how cool that was. I think that's because my guess is because it would make the upstairs just less powerful, right? If you're upstairs, you can control all the tubes. If one's hanging from the upstairs and the underside of the catwalk, then they can't shoot it, right? Or can they?
I think that's the thought behind it. They definitely cannot shoot him from upstairs. I don't know that you would actually be able to anyway, even if they were on the floor. There's probably some spot that you could, but I don't know.
You're very tough. You can't really see into unless you're on the bridge, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of
Cool.
a dead spot there too, because it's very open.
You mentioned that you did like the M4s, Jake. Going back to that, why do you like them?
I just miss playing with them. I played when I first started playing. We had the M4s. I thought they were so cool.
When
They
did
brought
you
it better.
start playing?
I started playing in 2016.
Okay, just right when they're about to get rid of them.
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of missed I only had like 500 kills with the M4 itself. So I started playing with it. It had a cool aspect to it. It was like really military style, which got all the hype. You know what I mean? Um, I also really like the fact of running out of ammo and trying to get back without dying. But I also hate it as well because, well, you die. It costs you death.
It only makes sense for people to carry their own magazines on them when they need to
Right.
reload.
Yeah. So I don't know. The 2-shot to kill is I I wouldn't say I prefer it. It's pretty different. You trade with people a lot more there than you do here. I'd say about 70% of my kills were probably trades with either Alex or one of their regulars.
Oh, that kind of sucks in my opinion.
Yeah,
You know,
it wasn't the most fun, but
I dislike it.
That's just because you expect to see somebody around this corner because there's not a whole lot of. I guess there's not a whole lot of corners. or you know that there's some highlighted corners that there's just going to be an idiot around this one. And so you're both just preparing for it. You're both ready. You're both ting, or you fire your burst at the same time until someone dies. And it just happens over and over again. These highlighted spots, right?
Correct.
That sucks.
I think Delirium has in his footage just him trading with me like 5 times and trading with Damien or Tom. Lots of trading was involved, and he made probably comments on video showing that like how overwhelming this trading was.
You think you could play differently to stop trading? Maybe duck down lower, come from the angle from a different direction. Something like that.
There's less of a gunfight to be had. It's more trying to catch people when they don't see you and less trying to engage in a gunfight. Because in a gunfight, any one-on-one gunfight is normally going to end in a trade. Just because each person only needs to pull that trigger once before they die to kill the other person.
Yeah. Sounds like how it would be just in, I guess, in real life or any more tactical shooters. You don't want to be the one that engaged in the gunfight. Why would you even put yourself in that situation when you could just do something unpredictable, get the first shot off for free?
You want to be somewhere that's hard to get you out of. You wanted to kind of camp in these little areas that you could see a good percentage of the field and shoot people while their back is to you. So you would always try and get to the other person's, get to the top of their spawn area, because you would just like get upstairs, and then if you controlled the area around their staircase, there's just nothing you could do, and you could just shoot them from the windows up there. You could just protect their staircase because there's no way they can shoot you before you can shoot them in that location. Just the way it's built, it's not built for that unless they try and blind fire you. But even then, there's a good bank shot there too that you can't even. I don't know. It was really tough to get someone down when they were upstairs.
Could you stick your gun up over the catwalk, sides of the catwalk, and get them, or was it too high up for that?
It's probably like 20, 30 feet in the air, so no.
Oh.
It's very, very high up. That's why if you're downstairs, you have to like crane your neck back all the way and look straight up to find someone upstairs. So there's no way if you're downstairs you're going to kill someone that's upstairs. It just doesn't happen.
Such a dominant position to have up there then.
Definitely.
And once you have it, you're not getting out of it.
True.
Cool. Anything else? Or we can start segueing.
I think we can move on. I think that's O'Fallon for you.
O'Fallon, guys. That's if anyone's in the chat that's from O'Fallon listening along, you guys are awesome. Thanks for giving our guys a good show and a good run for the money that's on there. Otherwise, you'll be on this episode will be on the YouTube channel eventually, and you guys can watch it there. Thank you very much. Nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and move on to our regular end of podcast 7 days. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, Alex.
All right, here we go. This week's 7-day leaderboard. Top 15's looking like Sniper, Woodland, Chief, Watch Your Flank, Striker, Mac 20, Nate, Ashaway, Milkman, Macmilla, Aravan, Glue Eater, O2 Cam, Jace Mace, and Gamoto. Mac's on there twice.
Mac is on there twice, and Strike is on there.
We took a break last week, so this is a really, really, really different list of 15 people than we had from 2 weeks ago. And I think this list is super, super interesting. First of all, I'm seeing right off the bat, we got Sniper 17 finally takes over Woodland. It's been a while since I've seen Chief ahead of Milkman, and by so many places too. From, what is it, from 9th to 3rd. Good job, Chief. And a new name on there, Watch Your Flank. I haven't talked to him a whole lot. Have you guys talked to him a whole lot?
I have not spoken much with him. I know that he's often there with... No, he's mostly there by himself, I think.
I think he comes with his dad or some relative. His I think his username is Redbeard, I think. It looks like he's almost has his eagle. What I know about him, he's a younger kid. He plays really, really fast. He has the username Watch Your Flank for a reason. I'll oftentimes find him behind me or just in places that regulars I don't really think normally sit. I caught him one time. If you're going into Lower Market from Embassy side, he's just in the middle of the courtyard, perched up around the corner, just to the right on the center of the courtyard there. And I was walking into Lower Market to the right side, and he got me through the window from just a spot I did not expect him to be at all.
He kind of plays like a mix between Komodo and Waken. He likes the truck and he likes the street. He also likes pushing down the street from what I've seen.
I don't
Yeah,
think
he
And, like,
runs.
don't think I've ever seen him not just run down the street.
Once he gets down the street and he doesn't die, he tries to like find a little like nook or cranny to hide inside of. He's playing differently. What I'm noticing from the majority of the regulars are doing, for what I've seen.
Yeah.
Strike is on there. He's back from the dead. He hasn't played in a while. You guys said Mac 20's on there twice. Nate's on there as always. Ashway's playing a lot still on the list. New name, as I already mentioned, Milkman, Mac Milla. I don't know anything about Mac Milla.
Neither do I.
Nope. Pretty new group. He comes with a group of 4 or 5. I don't remember. I think it's 4.
From Madison.
They've been playing a lot actually recently. He's the only one up here, which is kind of surprising. And they've been actually doing really well. I know they started with paintball, so they're a group of paintballers that have been playing here more recently.
They're paintballers, and they move like paintballers, and they yell, and they have big personalities. And so they're really good if they're like all of them are on a team. They can coordinate really well, and they have a lot of like team pressure. They kind of like demoralize the enemy team with their yelling. More of that action. I want to see more of you, Mac. Another Mac to see, Mac Milla. Aravan's up there. Glue Eater, nice job all the way up there. Mac's on there his second time here. Has 02 cam accounts in 13th place. I didn't see Jace Mace come in at all this week. He's just on here, and I was there all except for one day. I didn't see him at all. Only missed Thursday.
I thought he was there on Saturday.
Yeah, I was there on Saturday. I guess I just didn't see him. Normally, I see him and you'd hear him because he's just a big character, too. And there's Tom, squeaking in at the bottom. Good job, Tom. We had some big achievements over the last 2 weeks as well. What were those big levels? I think Stribling got her Eagle.
Yeah, Stribling
Nate
got
and
her
Ashway
Eagle.
got their first stars.
Yeah, we've talked about them with their first stars. There's a lot of people that are very, very close to their first star. I know Chief is really close to his first star. Milkman's getting there. Sniper Jr. or 6th and 7th Jr. is getting close. There's a few other people that I'm missing as well, but there's a lot of people on the come up for that first star.
The more 1 stars, the better. I think Waukesha just has like the majority of them because they've just been around the longest, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Sniper Jr., yeah. 6th and 7th Jr., excuse us. Anything else you guys want to add to this?
I believe that's it.
All I got.
I got a couple things. I have last 2 weeks ago, I started the Discord. If you guys want to scroll down a little bit, those of you that are watching live on Twitch, there's going to be a link for the iCombat Discord. If you have Discord, go ahead and join that. I'll see you guys join here in a second. And in said Discord, we have a giveaway. I'm giving away 2 iCombat free passes that I stole out of Leanne's pockets before she leaves, because she's moving she's moving to Spain. That's my canon. She's moving to Spain. She's going to go find a job in Spain somewhere. And so I got those free passes to give away from you guys. In about 2 days, the giveaway is going to end, and those can be randomly sent out to people. I have the code here, or I can give you the card in person. Cool. Otherwise, hopefully I'll see you guys in the Discord afterwards. Anything else you guys want to say?
That's all for me.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you guys next week or at iCombat this weekend. Later.
All right, stream is ended. Recording.
I hope there's some.
Your ammo.
Right here! Hey!
Live fire!
Hey!
Live fire!
Hey, Jason! Hey, he's right here! Hey, you trying to sneak behind me, fool?